Being in jail pushed me into being a full-time artist. I know that sounds strange, but so many people ask me, what did it take? And so I am Shimoda of Shimoda Accessories. I'm an author, mixed media artist. I make jewelry, fiber art, dolls. I just do a lot of different things. And I'm loving it. And so I'm here to tell you today what happened. How did I get in jail? And but before that, I will tell you my beginnings. So I live in Harlem now. I grew up in Queens. And both of my parents were artists. And my father did photography. He built furniture. He did calligraphy. What else did he do? Photography, cars. He repaired cars. He was the neighborhood handyman. He knew how to do everything. So I just, was influenced by him. And my mom was a milliner, so she had her own customers that brought hats from her. She sold hats to stores, high-end stores. I believe B. Altman's, that's not available. They're not. They've been long gone. B. Altman's in Manhattan. I believe it was on 34th Street. And so she was an artist, and she taught me embroidery, crocheting, knitting. So she was a great influence. Both of my parents were a great influence. So I did embroidery. But then when I was in high school, I got into music. So I played the flute and I was going to be this great jazz musician. I was just going to do it all. But before then, I did do, and while I was in high school, when jean jackets was the rage, I would embroider designs on people's jean jackets, on their jean not leggings, jean pants. And graffiti was big during that time, so I would graffiti their name on their pants and sew it up. So I can show you something now, sample of my art. Kind of during that time. This is not jeans, but this is a piece. I was inspired by this piece. It's an ivory piece at the Metropolitan Museum from Benin and in Africa. And so I never finished it, but this was on a pair of overalls. And so it's hand embroidered or hand stitched. And so this is one piece here. And then here's another piece that was also on some overalls. And this is from a painting from, now I can't remember his name, but Canadian, native Canadian artwork, which I love. So this is all hand stitch, embroidery stitch. Love this. So that's kind of like the work that I did on people's jeans. Hey, hi, Kari. And so let's see. So then I got into music, and I was playing the flute, and my dad loved opera and classical music, and I hated it. But grew up listening to that, jazz, grew up listening to a lot of different things, a lot of different music, which I love. But I started loving classical music when I started playing the flute, because we had to play classical music. So I love you too, Orla. So it was great. It was just phenomenal learning the flute, and then I had private lessons with Frank West, who was a saxophonist for Count Basie. He was phenomenal, and he lived in Queens at the time when I lived in Queens. And also on Saturdays, I went to Jazzmobile in Harlem, and that's where I learned how to perform with other jazz greats who had taught there. And it was just phenomenal. So I went on Saturdays, took the bus to the train to Harlem. And even though, we would sometimes on Sundays go to Harlem because my grandparents lived in Harlem, my father drove us there. I didn't realize till later on that my mother was afraid for me when I went on Saturdays to Harlem. Because then once I got there, the classes was from, I believe, 10 to 2. It was a long day, but then afterwards I would hang out and go to clubs and, just hang out with my artsy friends. So it was just wonderful. And then later on, I got into orchestra at the Henry Street Settlement, which is downtown. Hopefully, it is still there. Um, yeah, so I did that. So music was my thing. So once I graduated from high school, I went to Brew College, and during that time, computers was kind of new. I don't think computers wasn't in the home yet in terms of desktop. Maybe it was, but I said, okay, my parents, because I'm a good obeying at my parents. So they said, oh, you should get into computers. And even though I was into music, that was my thing. Oh, because I did apply to be a New England Conservatory, but I didn't get in. So I said, okay, I'll study computer science. And I realized that I didn't like it. I would volunteer in the computer department, and I just didn't like it. Now, I went to Baruch College, so it was a business school, and they do have, they had a music department. So I was always in the music department, hang out with the music people there. But I really didn't, I just wasn't into college. So I don't know if I stayed 1 or 2 years. And then I got a job. Before I left the school, I went to the job where they have the job postings. And I saw something for Barnes and Noble. So I love books. And so I applied to see if I could work at Barnes and Noble. I went for an interview and then I left. Not that I left, but I went for an interview and then I left to go on vacation with some friends for a week. That was wonderful. And then when I get back, my mother says, oh, Barnes and Noble called and they said that you have a job once you get back. So it's like, bam, great. So I got to work at Barnes and Noble, and it was wonderful because that was my education. I got to read anything and everything that I was interested in and that I didn't know I was interested in. So most of my paycheck went towards books. But yeah, I loved it. Really, really loved it. And during that time, I went to see a spiritual leader. Also, spirit just, I would get these inclinations to do X, Y, and Z and not knowing why and just obeying and doing it. So, one of the things was that I saw a spiritual reader who was doing cards, I believe, tarot cards. And so one of the things she said was, oh, I see you into beads. I see you working with beads, beadwork. And, I wasn't doing that, wasn't thinking that because I'm going to be a jazz musician. And I, um, so I said, okay, whatever. So later on, I believe it was a couple of years later on, I was going home and going to the subway, and a voice, because sometimes I would hear a voice said, you want to learn how to make jewelry. And I was okay, okay. It's not like I saw anything. I didn't pass the store and look in the window and say, oh, I like that. I think I can make that. None of that happened. So then the next day going to work, I come out the train and I see my friend Monifa, who I haven't seen in a long time, and she makes jewelry. And I said, hey, Monifa, I want to learn how to make jewelry. Where do I go to learn? Because I had no idea. And she says, oh my God, it's so interesting because I'm looking for an apprentice. And that's how it started. Um, so she taught me metalwork, which I didn't stick with the metalwork. I didn't care for the metalwork, but she also taught me beadwork. And that's what got me into beading. So you see the jewelry, that I'm wearing. These are pearls, freshwater pearls. I have this key that says memory on it. And this one I made in tribute to my mom because she had Alzheimer's, and I'll talk about that later. And so I started. She got me into making jewelry, and I really, really loved it. So I did that. I played my flute. I worked. After work, we meet up with my friends, and we would go to the village where they had a lot of jazz clubs and stuff, and we would hang out there. So I was just having the time of my life. So I worked at Barnes and Noble for about 7 years, and also during that time, I would do, since I was consistently making jewelry, I would go and do shows, art shows, and um, make some money on the weekends when I wasn't working. What else did I do? Okay, so now before leaving Barnes and Noble, I started getting that feeling of it's like time to leave, like time to move on, and I didn't know what I was going to do or where I was moving on to. And my parents, again, was saying, okay, you can't, be working at, Barnes and Noble for the rest of your life. They worked city jobs. So my father worked at the post office and he retired 40 years. He worked there for 40 years. And my mother made lunch in the schools, in elementary schools. And so they had their city job. And they said, I need to get my city job so I can have health benefits and retirement, pension, and everything that goes on. So being a good daughter again, I start looking into that. So there's a newspaper called The Chief where you would buy and it would list the different city jobs that's happening. And some of these jobs you had to take a test. So I took a test, and I took a test, and the test was for office something something, right? So then I took the test, and then you start getting notifications. So once I started getting notifications, I didn't know from different agencies, city agencies. So I didn't know that's how it goes. So I just went to the first, um, what do you call it? 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 I got from the first organization that contacted me, right? City agency that contacted me. So I went for an interview, and they wanted me. Bam, easy. Like my jobs was always getting work was always easy for me, which is great. So where was that? Jail. I was working in a jail. So I was working on Rikers Island, um, in Rikers Island in Queens, and yeah, I was scared. I'm not being a correction officer. I'm working in the office, but still, you're in jail. They lock up behind you. If somebody inmate escapes, you got to stay on the island, even though it's time for you to go home. You can't leave. Nobody can leave until they find this person. Rikers Island has multiple buildings on it, so I worked in the adolescent building, and my job was to input. Um, Inmates information in the court date, when they come into jail, what their charges are, and all that. Phones will ring. People want to know is my son or whoever, yeah, because it was a male jail, in that facility, and so I would help out with that. So yeah, so I worked there, and I didn't like it, and my hours was 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. I believe. So I'm getting home late because I still living in Queens at the time. I had to take going there. I had to take the bus to the train station, then another bus to the jail. And so it would take a lot of time. It'd take over an hour for me to get home, especially that late. Sometimes I can get a ride with a correction officer if they live in that area, but most of the time I'm getting home late. And then when I get off the bus, then I have to walk a couple of blocks to the house. It's amazing. I did that like after midnight. So so that's how I got in jail. And so after a while, I'm still making jewelry. So I'm making jewelry. I'm still doing music, and I am working. And it really got to be a lot. So I let the music go. And by that time, I had met my husband during that time. And he really loved that I played the flute. So he was really upset about that. But it was just hard to manage all that. And I was still going to Jazzmobile classes, and you had to learn different music, and I was playing Charlie Parker and all that type of stuff. So so I stuck with the art, and I was doing shows on weekend, craft shows, and then like towards the seventh year, almost at seven again, that I was getting like really tired of working at Rikers Island. But actually, at that time, because I worked on Rikers Island for a couple of years, and then I got transferred to the court pens, which is in the city. So that made my commute much easier. So I worked in the courts, and that's where you input inmates' information in, and that's where they do the bail and all that type of stuff. So during the weekends, I would do craft shows. And what else? What happened after that? Spirit told me I need to start moving on. And at that time, a correctional officer said, you know what, you need to see if you can apply for a leave of absence. So if you go out, you do your art, because he knew I did my art, I was talking to him. And he says, if it doesn't work out, you get leave of absence for a year. If it doesn't work out, then you can come back to the job. I said, okay, cool. That'll work out. So I put in for my leave of absence. During that time, I was getting married and got married, went on a honeymoon. I come back and I'm going through my mail and I get my letter from the Department of Corrections. I open it and it says, your leave has been denied. So it was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So I show my husband the letter and he says, you know what? You've been wanting to leave this job for a while, so leave. I'll support you. Don't worry about it. And it's like, that was so wonderful, 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 wonderful of him. Very grateful. He's been very supportive, still supportive. He's amazing. So I leave the job. And when I left the job, I had my friend, she was taking my jewelry around to different stores and museum shops, which I did have my jewelry in, Museum of Natural History. And so when I decided to leave around that same time, I got my first cover. I'm going to show it to you. This is the Essence cover, Essence magazine, and this is Naomi Campbell wearing my earrings. And she's wearing some bracelets, and this is a necklace that's wrapped around. So that was phenomenal. That was like the message that I'm doing the right thing. That was spirit again. I call that spirit. That I am doing what I love. And that was amazing. So also I had gotten other covers. This is another Essence magazine. And she's wearing earrings and beaded bracelet up here. And also another magazine, Essence, where Cassandra Wilson is wearing my earrings. I love her. She's a phenomenal jazz singer. Jada Pinkett. She's wearing my little earrings up here, hoop earrings. I have also, my husband loved this. He was just so excited when Essence did Halle Berry, and she's wearing my earrings here. So that was in Essence. And I have for the guys, Guitar World. This is Vernon Reed. and he's wearing one of my hair pieces. I have a better photo of that. This is a beaded hair piece that I made for him. So that was in the magazine. And then I also have, if you know Carol's daughter, Lisa Price, is wearing the earrings and necklaces that I made. So my work was getting around. I was doing shows. My friend Zawadi, she made clothes, and we would travel the U.S. and do craft shows, and she made clothes. And so she would have her booth, I would have my booth, or sometimes we shared a booth and just travel around and selling, which was phenomenal. It is hard work. It is a lot of hard work, but it was really, really wonderful. Uh, then I started getting a message again that I was burnt out. I was really, really burnt out from traveling. Normally, we do the Essence Music Festival in New Orleans, which is phenomenal. And I, did it for a couple of years. And so I know what to do. Like I have everything planned out, have this done by such and such a date, have this done, ship the jewelry display out by this particular date. So, I had a system. And just the last time I did the show, I couldn't get my body in my room. This is I call my playroom. We're in my playroom right now where I do my jewelry and fiber art. And I was just looking at TV. I could not come in this room. And the time is ticking. The time is ticking. I need to get the cracking. I need to make some jewelry for this show. It's a major, major show. And I just couldn't do it. And so I had to call my girlfriend and ask her, I said, could you please walk me through? I have to make this jewelry. I have to do this show and I need help. So what she would do, she said, okay, what do you need to do right now? I said, I have to make, let's say, like 10 earrings. She said, how long is that going to take you? I said, okay, it's going to take me a couple of hours. Let's say 2 hours, 3 hours. And she said, okay, I'm going to call you at the end of 3 hours to make sure you did it. And that's how I got through. Once I did that last show, I just stopped. I stopped all jewelry. My customers were mad at me. I didn't care. I was just had enough. I had enough. I was just burnt out. And for a while, I just looked at TV. I didn't talk to my friends. I didn't realize that, I could have been depressed. I just couldn't do it. So after a while, I ran into a friend, and he said, "You know what? There's a New York. What is it called? New York Book for the Arts, Book for the Arts in New York City. So that's a place where you could learn bookmaking." And I realized I needed to do something different. And he says, we have a new program where you can get a grant. It's a grant for artists that work in other disciplines and want to learn bookmaking. So he says, why don't you apply? It's like, okay, I'll apply. I'll apply. So I applied, and I was the first person to get this grant. And so the grant is I had a studio space there, and I believe it was for 6 months, I believe. I got to take classes, bookmaking classes. Um, it was phenomenal, and I just loved it. So what I'm going to show you now is a book that I made, a fiber art book. And I did make paper books, but I got into fiber art. So this is on felt. And it's called Inner Conversations. I'll show you here. And this is all hand stitched. All hand stitched. So why is it called Inner Conversations? It's called Inner Conversations because I was observing what I was thinking. So what I was thinking, and these has tags on the inside. They all have tags. Now I'll read you what the tags say. And these represent my inner conversations. So one says, am I good enough? I'm afraid. I don't make a difference. Am I doing this right? Who am I kidding? Does this look good? I can't do this. I don't know what to say. So these were conversations that was going on in my head. So then you put it in the pockets to disappear those conversations. And then these words I wrote up here is called believe, imagine, miracle, brilliance. So that's to have me focus on the positive. So that's what this I came up with. And then later on, what's so interesting is that I belong to this organization called Harlem Arts Alliance. And so they have meetings on what's happening in the art world and different things you could apply, artists can apply for. So somebody made an announcement. I was sitting in front at the time. They made an announcement saying, okay, HGTV is starting a new TV program called Crafting Coast to Coast. And they're looking for artists to submit artwork to possibly feature them on their show. And I said, oh, okay, that sounds nice. I didn't think nothing of it. So, and then the person that made the announcement, she looked at me because she knows me. She looked at me. She says, you need to apply. And it's like, oh, okay. I need to apply. So I applied. And of course, you know what happened. I got in, right? So I sent them, they needed photos. So I sent them photos of my jewelry and this project, right? And I was really hoping they would pick the jewelry because I knew that show I would have a segment and I would have to demonstrate the art piece. So, but of course they pick this. And it has a lot of different components to it. And one day I'll do a video more on this and what I had to do for it. But I was on HGT demonstrating this book, which was a great opportunity. So that came. Also, I started making. So the book making got me back into art. I got out of my depression. So then I started making dolls, and I will show you some of my dolls here. And I call them goddesses. So here's one, and since I'm known as a jewelry designer, I'm incorporating the beads that I use onto my fiber art. This is all beaded, and everything I do is hand stitched. I don't know how to use a sewing machine. My mother did teach me once to use the sewing machine, but I never stuck with it. I like stitching. It's more meditative, and I think of new ideas and things that I might want to implement later. So this is one doll. Let's show you that hangs. And this is a piece that hangs. I put a ring on the back so it can hang on the wall. That's one. I'll show you another. This is another goddess that I have. And these earrings can come off so you can wear it. And again, I'm using pearls. These are made from cattle bone here. And it has the word brilliance. And also with this one, I have the back looking fabulous also. And this has the ring also that you can hang it on the wall. So that's that. And then I have, I'll show you. This is another doll that I made that definitely was spirit led. Okay, these are one of the dolls. So let me tell you the story about the dolls. I notice for myself when I have an idea, oh, this is a great idea, I'm going to make a lot, that I don't. Maybe I'll stop at 5. So when I decided I wanted to make dolls, I said, okay, I will make 12 dolls and that's it. I mean, I can go more if I want, but I'm committed to making 12 dolls. So I made 12 dolls and what? My husband, while I was making 12 dolls, still wasn't making jewelry. My husband would come in and look at me like, why are you not making jewelry? Why are you making these dolls? And I wasn't selling the dolls. I was just making them. And I said, you know what? I don't know. I have no idea why I'm making these dolls. I just want to make dolls. So I made this doll. I made 12 dolls. So now back to the Harlem Arts Alliance meeting again. And somebody made an announcement that the business and development in Harlem, 125th Street, was looking for artwork that they can put on a banner to hang on 125th Street for a year. So I didn't think nothing about it. And no, this wasn't at the meeting, Harlem Arts. My friend told me about it. So I didn't think nothing about it. It's like, oh, that's nice, right? Because I said, I don't have anything. So then my girlfriend calls, who's Laura Gatson. She's a phenomenal quilter. She called me and she told me about, the same thing. She said, I need to apply. And I said, but I don't have anything. And she says, your dolls, do one of your dolls. So, but it had to represent somebody that did something in Harlem. And so I looked through all my dolls and this one popped out and I says, okay, I don't know who you are, but I got to find out who you are. I'm talking to the doll now. So this is made with a lot of different buttons. I turn it around and it's all, like I said, it's all hand stitched. So now I'm going online and finding out who did something with buttons or sewing or something like that. So I find this woman who is Lois Alexander Lane. And she is the founder of the Harlem Institute of Fashion, which she had a place on 126th Street between 7th Avenue and Lenox, Adam Clayton Powell, and Malcolm X Boulevard. And she had an institute there, and she taught sewing, and so it was phenomenal. It's like, okay, this is who you are. And so I submitted it. And of course, they picked it. So I got in. That's another phenomenal thing that happened. So many phenomenal things has happened in my life because I'm doing what I love. So that's that. What else? I made dolls. I had book exhibitions. I was with Books in Black, where Black artists made books. And what else? What else? Laura R. Gatson, who also lives in Harlem, phenomenal mixed media artist, phenomenal quilter. We started the Harlem Aesthetic, and she had a gallery in her home, and we would have other artists of colors to come and participate in our events where we're showing and selling our artwork. And that was very popular. I believe we did that for about 7 years. And we did it probably like 5 times a year. I really don't remember. It might be 7. So that was great because I really got burnt out from traveling and doing shows. So I knew I didn't want to do that anymore, at least not outside of the state. So I would do events here in New York City. So we did events at her brownstone, which was phenomenal, the Gatson Gallery. It was amazing. So many people came. They got to experience new artists and start collecting and collected our work. Then what happened? And the reason why we stopped, but we kind of starting back again pre-COVID. Normally at the end of the year, we rest up. And then in February, we get together and talk about the dates of what we're going to do for that year. But we were exhausted. And I was getting that feeling anyway. I didn't say it to Laura, but I was just getting that feeling like I'm tired. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And and so when we talked about it, she was tired too. And this is right before COVID. And so we decided not to plan anything for that year. And that was in February. And when did COVID start? Was that March? And so it worked out perfectly that we didn't have anything planned. So that's that. And then also my mother. So my mother lived in Queens. My sister was taking care of my mother. And my mother was showing signs of dementia, Alzheimer's. And so my sister was taking care of her. But then my sister had gotten breast cancer. So that meant that I had to take my mom. So my husband and I had her live with us. And, I'm home. It was during COVID. So I'm home. And my sister is now diagnosed with breast cancer. So I had taken care of my mom. And now my sister, I had to take her to her appointments, her radiation appointments and chemo and stuff like that. So that's a lot. My husband was working at the time. But thank God that I worked from home. So I was able to take care of my mom, which she was great. She was phenomenal. But it's like, just trying to figure stuff out was tiring, and me doing art. I still had to do my art because if I didn't have an outlet for myself, I think I would have went crazy. So, and what came out of that, and I'll talk about that in another video, but my schedule and how I made it work. I did make it work. And so I did talk about mom when I would send out emails to people who was on my email list, and I would talk about what it was like, and I would take pictures of her, and she did funny things. She was really great. And I got her back into art. And so we had an event, a show together. It was phenomenal. So, but that would be another a video. So from that, I wrote a book uh, called Sacred Stitches, The Art of Caregiving. I want to use that because that says not for resale. And I do have, that was my test model. Here it is. Tips for stitching yourself together when caring for someone with Alzheimer's. Very artsy book. Very colorful. Oh, I'll show you a picture of mom. Me and mom together. Yeah, that's me and mom. So this book is available on my website, and that helped a lot of people. So a lot of that book helped a lot of people because so many people, and I wrote it because so many people I knew personally was going through the same thing. So that was, why I wrote it, and I've learned so much caring for my mother that I knew it would help other people. So that. Also, when I was talking about the dolls, remember I was talking about the dolls? I wanted to, because this is my second book. My first book was the dolls, and that book took me 10 years because I always talked about, oh, I'm going to make a story for each doll. I'm going to do this and that, and never did. So it's a picture book, and it's called Sacred Stitches, Fiber Art Dolls for the Soul. And I said, I like picture books, so I made it into a picture book. I will show you, and it's the front and the back of the various dolls that I've made. So, let me see. Okay, here's, like, this is the one I showed you, right? So that's what this book is, picture books. Now, the recent thing that I did was, what's the recent thing? Is the Sacred Stitches journal. So what I did was take photos of my artwork. Oh, I gotta show you my artwork, my fiber art. And then here is where you would do your journaling. So it's very colorful because I journal. I've been journaling since I was in grade school. And I still have all my journals. And I wanted something, I'm just not journaling on a white page. So that's what this is. Very colorful, joyful, and triumphant. That, okay, so I'm going to show you some other things here. These are sewn on canvas, and these are, of course, hand stitched. And I'm working on these now. I call these sacred stitches circles of love. Why is it called circles of love? Because it has a circle theme, the circle here, the circle small metal beads here. I will tell you why. I call it circles of love because it's in tribute to my mom, who, like I said before, had Alzheimer's. She passed away when she was 96 years old. And so it's coming full circle because I said in the beginning that she taught me sewing and embroidery. So when I had her live with me, we took a class and she still was able to sew. And that's when I found out she really loves sewing beads. Not beads. She loves sewing buttons. So I'm going to show you one of her pieces. And so we come full circle that I gave her art back to her. And it was really wonderful and phenomenal. I'm so thrilled that we did that and that we had exhibitions. Let me find. Okay. So this is a picture of her. This was one of my, and this is a photo on fabric. This is, my father took that photo. And she worked on this piece. And she loved buttons and would sew buttons on her pieces. So that's one of her pieces. And another time I'll do a video showing more of her pieces. This is one of mine that I did of my dad. That's my dad, that's my brother, my sister, and that's me. So, and the 3 cowrie shells represents the 3 of us, the siblings. Yeah. So, oh, I was going to show you some more jewelry. Let's see. Necklaces. These are necklaces I've made. So I like using stones, semi-precious stones, pearls, crystals. I believe this piece is from Afghanistan. And then I started incorporating fiber into the jewelry. So this is fabric, some African fabric, and this is a pen, a brooch. Here's another one that incorporated fabric, and it says laugh. I love doing these. I love incorporating now the fabric into the jewelry. And these are one of a kind art pieces. I do not know what I'm going to make when I'm sitting down. I shouldn't say that. I pick a piece like this here. I know I want to make a necklace from this piece. Then I start pulling out what beads do I want to incorporate, what colors is in here that I can incorporate into this necklace. I'll do another video on that. And here is an earring. I'm using a cloisonne metal bead, and these are pearls. I love working with pearls. And then I have these long, and I love making long earrings. And people say, oh, I can't wear long earrings because my neck is not long enough. No, your neck doesn't have to be long enough. If you look at Masai, The Maasai tribe in Kenya, they're wearing long earrings. You look at the Hopi Indians, they wear long earrings. So, no, because it's supposed to go past your ear, past your neck, I mean. Okay, what else? What else do you want to know? Um, so, yeah. So, this is part of my story and how my life has been going. And like I said, it's divinely guided, most definitely. And I'm just so grateful that I'm able to do what I love to do. And, it's always changing. And yeah, I'll be doing more videos and telling you more about it. So you're probably saying, well, do you have a website? Yes, I do. So my website is saharlem.com. S for Shimoda, A for accessories, Harlem, where I live.com. Saharlem, HARLEM.com. Please like and subscribe to this channel. I will be putting out more content. I know I was hoping to have a free giveaway for you, and I didn't get it done in time, so um, I will work on that and I will post it, on the video or future videos where you can go to get the free item that I have for you. I did start working on it. Um, and please, when you go to my website, please sign to get emails from me. Because I can let you know when I'm doing events, other things that's happening that you're not going to know about by looking at me on YouTube. Okay? So thank you so much for participating in my life. I'm really, really grateful for it. So thank you very much and have a phenomenal, phenomenal day. And come back, okay? Come back. I want to see you again. Bye.